Not long ago still I am confronted with the topic of overwhelm. And now I'm confronted with what I am overwhelmed for. As I mentioned, I bought this old little bus that I'm building into a home, which continuously just throws more and more stones into my path. You try to fix one thing and then you discover 3 more things you need to fix somehow. But that's not the bad thing. The bad thing is that if I'm brutally honest, it's not. If I could imagine any dream, then this would not be a dream of mine. It's a bit like the best I can do. It's among the only viable options for me in today's world. Like if you ever start confronting yourself with how the history of humanity is a blatant lie from what we learn at school and from mass media for the most part, how the nature we see is a lie, is nothing but the ruins. That's the leftover of what actually was once, where we actually lived in huge giant trees and where we respected every single tree and single life growing on this planet. Where we didn't harvest trees, we took as much as we need from something without killing it. And the world we live in now is unrecognizable. The trees, the biggest trees we see are nothing but saplings, little baby trees that just started growing again. And nonetheless, deforestation continues. It gets worse by the year. Consumption gets worse. Production gets worse. We produce more and more garbage that lasts a year or 2 at most, lands in the trash, and then we buy and produce the next thing, regardless of the damage we do. And all of us that, like every single human that has access to watching this video is part of that, including me. The equipment I use, even though I didn't buy my camera, it was produced most likely in China. Very likely, at least parts of the camera were produced by workers that get paid little to nothing, maybe by child workers. The latest is when I throw this camera away at some point, some child will gut it and pick it apart, gather the raw materials out of it, so it gets paid by some, or maybe gets paid, if it's lucky, by some rich asshole that makes profit from it. So it can sell these materials to build new cameras and stuff for me to buy to make these videos. So if you look at it that way, the only way to make a change in these days is to get a voice out and to get some sort of awareness on humanity or out to humanity. And in order to do so, you are forced to walk within the hamster wheel. You're forced to consume with the perversion, with destruction. So to get back to the point, I never wanted to drive any car. I never wanted to have a driving license. I hate streets since always. I hate cars, I hate the noise, I hate the smell. I hate metal. The material itself, I really don't like it. So everything about this car, about this, let's call it a rotten dream actually, is wrong. But it's what I can do. Because in my situation, have little idea on how to continue else. It's like being born in a huge toilet surrounded by turds and you're there now, and there's nothing to drink and nothing to eat but the shit water and the turds you can chew on. And that's what you have, that's what you gotta live with. Which does not mean that we cannot be a bit more aware of how we consume things and what we actually need, and how we use the things that we consume. So alone this makes some sort of difference. But still there's this very bitter aftertaste of swimming in between turds, if you want to or not, and no one asks you if you want to be here, at least not that we are aware of, and that's what we get, that's what we gotta do. So after my overwhelm settled, I don't know, maybe what I say now only makes sense if you watch the previous video. It's called Overwhelm, surprisingly. Yeah, after I went through overwhelm and I got some motivation to move on, because that's what I chose to do, and I talk about it in the video. After that, I just had a huge, I don't want to call it a mental breakdown, but a huge rut, kinda. I watched this video about a guy looking for a giant tree. He talked about trees and everything, and I just had to cry looking at it. And then I got reminded that since always I knew a lot of things were wrong. I just knew it by heart. I never could point my finger on it, but at some point I could then. And it was not me being depressed, it was not me being wrong or ill or having some chemical deficit in my brain that needs to be sorted out by taking medication. It never was that. It was always the fact that I maybe remembering in some part of myself that the world was beautiful once, and what we live in now is not even a shadow. It's the last bit, the last crumbles. Yeah, it's the last crumbles of bread in a pond that slowly soak through and dissolve, and probably even less than that. So yeah, that's why I've been through what I'm going through still, and will go through for probably the rest of my life. But again, what can I do? I could cry about this forever. My brain and mind would find an infinite amount of reasons to just give up on life. It did so in the past, and it does so still on a regular basis. But what does it change if I don't get my ass up again? If I don't, despite everything, try my best to swim in this toilet, to maybe start growing some moss and algae here and there. And it's a super stupid analogy, but that's the only thing I can come up with right now. Yeah, it's the only thing I can do. And not because I want it, not because I was deciding to be here and to save this world. I would just leave all of you, I fucking don't care. But well, I'm here now. So the only really thing every one of us can do is to get up, to continue to make a change where we can make a change, to look for ourselves, look after ourselves, to try to become as healthy as we can, and to try to support the things that consume this world as less as we can, or as little as we can. Yeah, if you're anything like me, then you will have these phases where sometimes it takes a couple months, sometimes a few weeks, sometimes just a couple days, where you fall down into a deep hole again of victimizing yourself and being in self-pity and everything. Maybe you have these phases where you just smoke weed for a week or two and play video games to just forget about everything and to, I don't know, live in worlds and dimensions that you would like to live in, or at least a bit, and I think that's okay. Sometimes we need that. We cannot constantly fight everything and try to get around and do things differently, because I at least, I don't have the strength, and I can't bring up the guts to push through with that for too long. So for myself, I found to accept these phases. I try to become as aware as I can about what I consume, about how I feel after I consume it. And most importantly, I try to become aware of the fact that if I've been in this state for a bit, I don't want to be there anymore, and I want to start creating and changing again. I want to try my best to change something, no matter how much or little success I can have. And so should you. Because after being in a rut, let's say you drank every day for the past weeks, or smoked weed every day for the past weeks, or consumed whatever you consume. It can also just be videos and media. Very individual, that is. To not talk yourself down, to not spend yet another week afterwards making you feel bad about yourself, but to remind yourself that you live in a huge fucking toilet, and instead of swimming in between the logs, forgotten, dissolving, you can remind yourself that you tried your best, you fell down again, and now you can start climbing the turds again, get out of the water, maybe start climbing the toilet again, in the hopes that you won't slide down the next time, landing in the same shitty waters. So don't waste your time judging yourself. Invest that energy that you would judge yourself with in something creational, something more profound, something that changes something. And maybe you are in a place where you feel like doing something, but you don't know what the fuck to do. Take a few deep breaths, take a hot bath if you have a bathtub, take a shower, get yourself some incense, cleanse the energy field a bit, or do whatever it's not about the incense, it's about the act of cleansing, about putting attention towards cleansing, about trying to make space for new. Again, if you don't know what to do and you've started cleansing yourself, and then open your eyes, stop turning around in your head, you cannot stop thinking, but stop taking these thoughts seriously, just put them aside for a while. Let them pass, do whatever, but don't give in to them. Don't take them for granted. And then you will see little things you can do to make your environment better. Maybe you live at your parents' house, maybe you could help out your mom or your sister or something to, do the dishes, throw out the trash, vacuum clean the house, or something, some little, really, it sounds, especially if you are in a rut, it can sound very overwhelming, but it also sounds pretty pointless. Like, why would I make my bed if I don't even want to live? But it's these little things that really get you going, that start a little spark, and this spark can eventually grow into a fire again to make a little change for yourself and for your environment. Or maybe you are none of these things, maybe you live alone and you just really don't want to be at home, and everything at home just reminds you of your misery. I can understand that as well. Maybe then you just want to go out, take a walk, go to your favorite spots. If you don't know any spots, walk somewhere where you didn't walk before, just take a walk. And if you find trash on the way, take a trash bag with you, pick up the trash. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter if the trash rots in some forest or in the ocean in the end, or gets burned. But just the act of doing so creates energetically something that gives you purpose. It sparks a little tiny flame of purpose within you. And upon that you can build. let's go back to me. When I feel like that, when I'm in a rut, most likely I didn't shower in a few days. So the first things I do, if I can, I take a hot bath and I scrub myself everywhere and I clean myself as good as I can. And I just invest the effort and time to take care of myself, to be thankful for my body and to treat it as good as I can. Make myself a nice meal, clean the kitchen, clean the cat's toilet, because a little kitty also wants to have a nice clean toilet, does she? And then I take a walk or a bike ride in the forest. At the moment my bike is broken, which adds to the misery. So yeah, I take a walk and I just start becoming aware of the trees. I watch the trees, I walk through the forest, and I have this little, I wouldn't call it exercise, but this thing I try to pursue where I try to observe the trees for what they are. I don't call them a tree, I don't call its branches a branch and its leaves a leaf. I don't try to get out a book and to categorize and make distinctions in between trees, sorts and kinds and whatever. I just watch them, I look at them, and every single tree has a very unique characteristic. You can see it, they dance. They actually dance, and deep within you, you feel it without words, without anything. You feel that they are there for you, and they always were, and that you are part of them. There's no separation in between you and the plant or the tree you look at. It's just there, it grows, it provides for everything. It provides for the earth, for the air, for the birds and the insects. It just grows to give. And whoever's listening to this, the 5 people listening to this, you're not different than the trees, not even the slightest. You can move around, sure, maybe you have 2 legs, 2 arms if you're lucky. Some people even have a head, and you're here to provide, to serve, serve? Jesus, what's that word? To serve the greater good, to serve everything else that's alive, including yourself. You're not supposed to be this big influencer and have this amazing job and material safety. Everything is there to provide for everything else. Nothing needs more than that. Nothing that's alive will ever, in a natural way, have the lack of anything that it really needs. So after taking a walk through the forest and reminding myself of that, I go back, and usually I'm motivated, or at least inspired. Maybe to draw a new picture, maybe there's one single thing that I needed to do since a while, and then on the way back I cannot even wait to start doing this thing and finishing this thing. And I go back and I do this very thing, and I try to stay in the process. And while doing that, or after doing that, usually there's 20 other things that appear that I can pursue now. And suddenly there's no time for me to be in a rut. There's no time to me to smoke weed and drink beer, to watch stupid videos, because there's so many other things I try to take seriously that should be done by me, because they make a little change. Take care.